everybody, it's Dandy. I wanted to do a video. I'm in the bedroom, kind of at a weird angle. I couldn't get the light right, so figured I would try recording a video from here. So I do apologize if the light is really crappy. Wanted to talk a little bit about power exchange relationships, kink relationships, and non-monogamy polyamory. So for anyone that doesn't know what polyamory or non-monogamy are, they have a very variety of definition depending on who you ask. But in general, polyamory means poly means multiple, amory means loves, multiple loves. Non-monogamy can fall under a lot of categories, such as swinger. Some people that identify as swingers could fit under there. People that, even people that play different ways in BDSM could be considered non-monogamous. There's a lot of things that fall under the non-monogamy tree. People that have maybe a relationship, but then they have people that they have friends with benefits with, or any level of partners. There's endless things that you could put under that umbrella. If you're curious about it, I would definitely do some research. In the area that we live in, San Francisco, there is a giant community of polyamorous and non-monogamous folks, including multiple munches and discussion groups on the topic. So if you're in an area and you're curious, maybe see if there's something in your area where you could have a dialogue with somebody, or maybe get some more information. So much like kink, polyamory and non-monogamy are kind of an alternative lifestyle. What do I mean by alternative lifestyle? Well, a majority of people at least seem to be monogamous, right? That's the cultural norm. So this is something that if I've brought up to people at work, they kind of look at me funny. I don't usually bring it up at work, but it will kind of get me some weird looks, right? Just like if I'd be like, I'm a kinky slave. So there is a lot of intersection in my experience, I'm only speaking of my experience, between the two communities. So maybe if you have been out in a public scene or been around, maybe you've seen or experienced the non-monogamy polyamorous community, or maybe, like I said, the swinger community, or one of those intersecting communities. Maybe you are non-monogamous. Maybe you're curious. Maybe you're polyamorous and have long-term relationships. All those things are great. I just wanted to have an opportunity to talk about my experience and the intersection with power exchange. This is a very lengthy topic, and my battery is not supercharged, so we'll see how long we get in this. First, I wanted to recommend some books. I have not read all of these, but I have partners and people who have read them, so I do want to warn that I have not read some of the ones I'm recommending. But I will say what I know about the book. And so some of the recommended books on this topic, one of them is The Ethical Slut. I have read this. This is by Dossie Eaton, and I forgot who the other writer is, but it's two women that write about this topic. It definitely talks about a variety of non-monogamy, not just polyamory. I read it in college and I have the book now and I've done a reread. It is one of those standard books that people recommend. I would say it's a little outdated and there's some pieces of it that people, definitely coming from a more feminist angle. So just keep that in mind when you read it. There's another book that I have, but I haven't had a chance to read, called More Than One, which I believe is also by a woman. And I heard that one is really good. It's also sold at Wicked Grounds and local kinky bookstores. You can find those both probably on Amazon. I haven't read that one, but I've heard lots of things. I do own it. And here's another one that just came out, I think, quite recently. I went to a book signing about this, / discussion. The writer's name is Kevin Patterson. He is a black man. That's his words. He said, I am a black man. And he wrote a book called Love is Not Colorblind, on his experience in what he calls Philadelphia, which is poly in Philadelphia, and his experience of being a person of color, and how not inclusive the community felt when he first entered it, and how he made that environment more inclusive. I really haven't read this book, and I haven't bought it yet just due to funds, but I'm sure I'll be reading it at some point, and a lot of the stories that he said in his presentation are in the book. So I highly, based on his discussion and what he said, I highly recommend checking it out, or checking out some of his podcasts. His name is Kevin Patterson, and he's out of Philadelphia. So he basically came at it from a completely different angle, talking about his experience as a person of color. He said there was only one other book by a person of color about polyamory, non-monogamy. So I just wanted to put that out there and support him and his work, because I thought he was a wonderful presenter. He was nerdy and just really funny and had a lot of stories. So I wanted to recommend that. Again, I haven't read the book, but I have seen him present. So that was super amazing. So back to kind of the topic of power exchange, BDSM power exchange relationships and non-monogamy or polyamory. I mostly consider myself more of a non-monogamist. I'm not going to lie, it's hard. It's really hard to have a power exchange relationship and have other relationships, in my experience. The balancing is tough. And for me, I have to be transparent with people of like, my priorities with my master. If my master's not okay with something, I can't do it. I'm very lucky because he has very, very few things that are like really strict rules off limits. There are some things, of course, that are off limits, but there's not like a giant list. We've only had one person added to the people that I see since I have been with him. So all the people were existing in my life before him, and that's kind of also how they've stayed in my life. So, basically anytime that I'm thinking of adding a partner or I'm interested in someone, I would have to get his consent. And of course, even if he wasn't in a power exchange, right, I would still want to negotiate it with my partner. I do consider him my primary partner. He is my master. And so there is, of course, consent, even if you're not in a power exchange relationship. If you're going to add other relationships, are you a closed poly, or are you a closed non-monogamy, meaning you only with the people you're with, or are you able to see other people, play with other people? So there's a lot to talk about with somebody when you're deciding to go that route. And I already was very non-monogamous before. I will say, however, I would not have considered myself polyamorous until maybe now, because I've never been really big on the emotional part of connecting with multiple people. Like, I would say I had an emotional connection, but I wouldn't say like I was like in love or, super romantic with a lot of people, more than one person. But now, because I have my foundational relationship, I feel like I'm more open to that and able to explore that. So for me, having a primary relationship in my master/daddy has allowed me to feel safe and open to the potential of that and those feelings. It's taken me a while to get to the point where I felt like I could even feel safe enough. And just to give some background for people who haven't watched a lot of my videos or aren't really aware about me, I have really bad anxiety. I'm working through a lot of my childhood stuff right now, and a lot of my trust issues are really bad. So I find when I'm super vulnerable with someone, which there's two people in my life I feel super emotionally vulnerable with, sometimes things come up, right? Some of my stuff comes up. But I do really think that having the relationship with Master Hook has really allowed me to feel safe enough to open up to him and to other people, and feel actually safe enough to explore some of the trauma and some of the things that I am dealing with. So I did want to share that because that's super beautiful. Again, for people who don't know me very well, I do a lot of tantra and holistic stuff, energy work. So I'm a little bit more woo than some people, maybe some kinksters. And I do really highly value those things and teachings from different cultures and religions. But I don't identify with a religion. Just for some background. So, yeah, but anyways, creating boundaries and negotiating is really important when it comes to non-monogamy, polyamory, and knowing what you want, right? So I always known I don't want to be monogamous. I always knew like I wanted somebody in my life that was like a master mistress type, controlling and managing a majority of things. But I never would want to just like have sex with one person the rest of my life, or like not have the opportunity to connect with other people, because for me it's really about connection And before, when it used to be more about just like sex and play, it's more about like very knowing somebody, experiencing somebody, and way more than just the sexual aspect. So now my phone is dying. So, so I've had an evolution in my experience. So just wanted to share my experience with everyone. And if you have any questions or comments or things to add, I would love to hear it below. And please, if you like what you're hearing, please subscribe. I am trying to build a community here with my videos, not just me blabbing. So I'd love to hear your experience or challenges. I'll probably do a part 2 on this at some point. All right, and I do sorry for the phone being this way. This is the only way I could make it work. So, all right, everybody have a wonderful weekend. Bye-bye.